So friends, here we are in the month of Elul, the most auspicious month of the Jewish calendar as we come up to the Jewish New Year. We're also here in the English year 2025, a time where there's a huge proliferation of technology and where there's a noise coming from cyberspace that we're all aware of. Elul, my friends, is a time where our tradition says that the proverbial king is in the field, meaning God is not locked away in a palace. He's right here waiting for us to show up as our real selves. Here's the problem, my friends. How do you show up as your real self when every second of your life pop culture is telling you to be fake? So the Rambam, who is one of the most cited Torah sages, time of the Middle Ages, says that the ram's horn, the shofar, in the month of Elul, is like an alarm clock, right? We're inundated with more stimulation than any previous generation. Maimonides says, the shofar is a time to wake up from our trance. This is somewhat of a conflict between the message we're getting from the world and what Elul is all about. So let's break down what we are learning from pop culture and really get into the right mindset during the month of Elul. What is pop culture telling us? They're saying, quote unquote, secure the bag, right? Hustle 24/7, you're falling behind. But if you ask anyone who's been grinding nonstop, it doesn't lead to peace. It doesn't lead to this life of nirvana that social media is promising. It leads to burnout. The book of Koheles, known as the book of Ecclesiastes, which was penned by one of the wisest of all men, says, and I quote, "He who loves money will never be satisfied with money." So that's a concept that was written and was true 1,000 years ago. Not only is it still true, but we all see in our lives people who've got $1 million looking to get $1 billion, and people have $1 billion looking to outsmart and have more money than the person ahead of them on the Forbes list. Here's message number 2 that pop culture is telling us. And as we sit here in the month of Elul, it's time to reflect whether this message is really an accurate message from a Jewish perspective. The message goes something like this: create your brand, not your soul. Meaning, the world of pop culture wants to make sure that you focus on scroll and not soul. TikTok says, craft your aesthetics, your superficial externality. You got to be that girl. Live for the algorithm. But every filter, and get ready with me, only makes the gap between who you are and what you post even wider. Contemporary psychologists call this the authenticity gap. So in Ethics of Our Fathers, which is in Hebrew Pirkei Avot, says the following: who is honored? The one who honors others, not the one with the best feed and the most likes. Let's think about message number 3 that pop culture is imparting. Pop culture is telling us hookup apps is freedom. Swipe culture tells us you love is just like any other marketplace. You love that camera, you love the umbrella. But deep down, Gen Z, and I know this well as someone who represents the biggest influencer targeting Gen Z, they know themselves that that's absolutely empty. In fact, studies show these casual hookups result in anxiety and depression. One of the famed contemporary Torah sages, Rav Kook, said that what's real freedom? It isn't doing whatever you want. It's living aligned with your soul. So freedom without meaning or freedom without parameters is really just loneliness dressed up. Let's think of message number 4 that pop culture is telling us. And here, as we press pause in the month of Elul, let's think about whether this is truly the message that will lead to a happy and healthy life. Pop culture is telling us, follow your feelings, period, regardless of your consequences. So TikTok trends push main character energy. Do whatever feels good at the moment. But feelings flip faster than trends. Part of the oral law is called the Mishnah. The Mishnah says, align your will with God's will, meaning anchor yourself in something that's bigger than the mood of the day. Anchor yourself with a purpose and a meaning that's bigger than yourself, instead of continue chasing a moving target. Let's think of the 5th pop culture message or script, and let's really think in the month of Elul if this is something we want to embrace as we turn the corner into the new year. Pop culture tells us fame equals fulfillment, meaning worship the influencer, but don't look around. We all know how many famous people say they're miserable. If fame equaled happiness, we wouldn't have these stories one after another coming out of Hollywood of how dysfunctional and how unhappy these people are. So one of the other parts of the oral law, which expands on the Mishnah, is called the Talmud. There's a quote in the Talmud which says, there are 3 things that remove a person from this world: jealousy, lust, and honor. There's no question that jealousy, lust, and honor are 3 of the qualities that pop culture is directing our eyeballs to. It's a message for disaster. What's the counter? What should we be thinking about instead of just embracing and drinking the Kool-Aid of the message disseminated by social media? So Elul has a very different feeling. It has a very different script. Elul, the acronym, Ani ledodi li, means I am my beloved's and my beloved is mine. Meaning that you don't need followers, brands, or fame to matter. You have intrinsic value. Your value is built in. It's not a function of external validation. One of the most contemporary writers, who is the source of one of my main teachers, Rabbi Noach Weinberg, is known as the Nesiva Shalom. And the Nesiva Shalom says something very on point during the month of Elul. He says that Elul is like stripping away the illusion. There is a personality that we really are, and there's a personality that we portray to the world. To have real peace and to have a sense of your internal tranquility and being true to yourself. Elul is saying, be who you're supposed to be authentic. Pop culture is noise. Elul is a month to mute the noise and listen to the quiet voice of your soul, which is telling you your true identity and what you're doing in this world. Here's a very graphic way to describe this idea that I'm sharing with you today. Picture the scene. You're walking through Times Square on a Saturday evening. Screens everywhere, lights, ads, sound. It feels so alive. And then suddenly there's a blackout. It's silence. And for the first time, you look up and you see the beautiful stars. That, my friends, is Elul. Times Square is TikTok. Flashy, in the scrolls, but it's shallow, it's meaningless. Elul is lights out. Blackout, time to reflect. It cuts the power, the noise, the distractions long enough for you to finally look up and notice what's real. In practical terms, what do we do with this? Number one, Elul for sure is a time to do a soul audit. How many likes did I get is not the purpose of Elul, and is not the way to get into the right state before you stand before the creator of the world. The question to ask is not how many likes I got. It's did I become a better human being? And number two, as we listen to the ram's horn, the shofar, again, Maimonides, the Rambam says, it's not background. It's a customized alarm clock to wake you up and to remind you why you're in this world. And every blast of that ram's horn is saying, wake up and don't waste your life scrolling. The next point that we should think about to make this practical is challenge the script, challenge the message that is being imparted by pop culture. If the culture says money, hookups, or fame will save you, will make you happy, ask yourself, does it actually work? Or is there a better way? So let's tie this together, and in sharp contrast to the noise of the world, let's focus on the whisper of Elul. Here's the difference, my friend. Pop culture shouts, buy this, do this, be this. Elul whispers. It says, you're not broken. You're distracted. Come back to your true self. Come back to what really matters. That, my friend, is the power of Elul. It's a time to hit pause. It's a time to reset and to step in to the holiest day of the year, Rosh Hashanah, not as an extra in someone else's play, but as an author of your own life, of your own story, rooted in meaning, in wholeness and joy that doesn't vanish when the trend dies. I wish each and every one of you a year ahead of meaning, of being true to yourself, and God willing, when we reunite at Rosh Hashanah next year, you'll have taken some of these ideas to heart. Be true to yourself. Be a person who slows down to the speed of life. A happy and sweet new year.